So Hunt Showdown had a free-to-play weekend recently, and I gotta say, I'm pretty upset I didn't try this game earlier, like several friends suggested. This game is a breath of fresh air, and it brings hope for future games who want to spread out into newer outside-the-box concepts. Now, I've been hooked on this game, and I even tried to look up reviews for it, but I noticed that a lot of the reviews are old, and maybe even a year old when the game first came out, and since this game is an alpha, I know that it's constantly getting better, so I thought I'd try to make a review for those of you who tried the free weekend, or maybe didn't get to play it at all, and are thinking about getting the game. So without further ado, let's get into Hunt Showdown and what makes this game so great. Now there are two different types of game modes. First is Quick Play. In Quick Play, you're given a random hunter to traverse the map. You can choose what kind of weapons you want on your hunter, whether melee, close range, or long range, so you do have some kind of customization, but other than that, the weapons you get are pretty much random. This mode is pretty much a BR more than anything. As a hunter, you find 4 rifts, which will then lead you to the wellspring. Now your hunter is damned, and in order to save your soul, you must get to this wellspring. Now there will be other players on the map, and they will try to take you out, so you must be the first person to get to the spring in order to save your soul. The game mode can be really fun, especially if you don't have a lot of time to play. Being around 15 minutes on average, this can be a great way for you to get your mechanics down and learn the basics of the game. While this game mode can be fun to play, it's nothing that hasn't been seen before. Pretty much a regular BR with slight modifications. It will probably be familiar to most of y'all. So even though it can be fun, like I said before, there are limitations to it, and there's a chance that you might get bored of it pretty soon, so you might want to move on to the next game mode, which is Bounty Hunt. Bounty Hunt is the bread and butter of Hunt Showdown. This game mode enters you into the same map, but in this mode you can have a partner. Now while you can go at it solo, having no partner will put you at a disadvantage since most other people will indeed have a partner. Now the goal of this is to find clues, which will then lead you to a monster on the map that you must kill. There can be up to 2 monsters on the map at once. Now as of now, there are 3 different monsters, which is the Assassin, the Butcher, and the Spider. Now these monsters are not really too difficult. They have a very relatable pattern that you can remember easily. So you won't have a problem. Even if you don't have a partner, you will be able to take these monsters down on your own with just a little bit of practice. Once you kill the beast, you must banish it to hell, which takes a few minutes. Then you can collect the bounty from its body. Now also keep in mind that the server can have up to 10 real players, and they will be hunting for those monsters just like you. Once you begin banishing a monster, the entire map will become aware of it, and they will also be able to see a rough idea of where you are when you are carrying the bounty. Once you grab the bounty, however, you'll be given 10 seconds of walls pretty much, where you can see players roughly in a small radius around you using your hunting mode. Now the incredible thing about Hunt is that you won't always have 10 players on the map. In fact, there is a chance that you might only spawn with a few real players, or maybe even no real players on the map. So unless you guys keep count and kill all the other 8 possible players, there is no way of knowing if there's people still around. This creates a sense of paranoia throughout the entire game. And since this game mode can be up to an hour long, this can be nerve-wraching. But this is what this game has to offer. It denies you your feeling of safety until you're off the map, which you can leave whenever, with or without a bounty. The main point of this game mode, however, is once you die, you lose everything. So the main premise of Bounty Hunt is that you can hire hunters to use. Now these hunters come with different stats and different abilities, but you can of course level up your hunter the better you do with him. Your hunter can reach up to level 50, and the higher of a level he is, the more perks he can have, the better weapons you'll unlock. And of course you want to take care of this hunter, because once you die, you lose him completely, and you're going to have to hire somebody else and start all over. Now this is what puts the biggest fear into you, because sometimes you have a hunter that's almost level 50, and you put so much time into this character, and you're in a situation where you know that you might not get out alive. And this puts you on edge, and this is the great thing about this game, because you can never really relax while you're on the map. Because even if you spawn with no players, there's no way of knowing, and you're always going to have to watch your back. And you'll run into all types of players. You'll run into aggressive players, you'll run into players that hide, you'll run into players that wait until you kill the monster just so they can come in and kill you from behind and take your bounty. So it's a real wasteland out there, and it's great. It's an amazing experience. There are times where you just get so immersed into the game that you forget that you're actually playing the game. You know, you actually feel like your life is at stake because you put so much time into this one character and you don't want to see him go. Now there is also an economy system in the game, and even though it might seem CSGO-ish, it might seem a little bit complicated to those of you, and it might put you off the first time you hear about it. It's honestly very, very simple, and it's not too big of a deal. I've been playing this game for almost 25 to 30 hours, and I feel like I've never had a problem with money. I feel like you get too much money, to be honest. I die every once in a while. I have to rebuy my guns and rebuy my equipment, and sometimes I just change guns because I feel like it, so I buy another gun. And I always have money. I always have above 8,000 to 9,000. Like, I never run out. And I feel like maybe the game will be more strict in the future with money, maybe, if they notice that people aren't spending too much. But I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or something, but I always have money. I never run out. So if this is something that might have put you off the first time you heard about it, it's not a problem. Don't worry about it. There will always be money, trust me. As long as you play and try to get the bounties, you will always have cash, and you will always be able to buy the goods you want. Now, there is a level up system for you, not including any hunters. And the more you play, the more you level up, and the more you'll be able to unlock and buy different kinds of guns. And these guns get better over time, of course. You get scoped guns, you get melee weapons, and just it's a pretty good range of things. And there is something to fit your playstyle no matter what you play. So even if you play sniper, if you want to play melee, if you want to play close range, there will always be a weapon for you. And it's a pretty good feeling that you find something that'll fit your playstyle. The mechanics of Hunt Showdown are similar to most FPS games, with the exception of a few quirks. The first one being how you aim with the iron sights. In this game, when you press the aiming button, you will only aim from the hip. In order to actually use the iron sights, you have to hold down an extra button. Now, me being on PC, that would be shift. Now, this mechanic does seem a bit strange at first, and to be honest, it did take me a little while to get used to. Now, I wasn't a fan of this when I first started playing, but the more hours I put in, the more I understood. Hunt Showdown is very much an accuracy heavy game. So the fact that the game gives you 3 different types of aiming, being non-scoped aiming, hipfire aiming, and iron sights, is something that you begin to appreciate the better you get. Now the movement, for the most part, is also very well done. I have never had an instance where I feel like I was at a disadvantage because of a movement mechanic. Everything that my character does is because I input that command, not because of any slippery mechanics or anything like that. There are several instances, however, when I rubber band back to a spot without the presence of lag, and while this can be a bit jarring when it happens, the instances when it occurred are rare to say the least. Now, one thing that me and my friend noticed is that the game will let you get to certain spots that you're not allowed to get to, and then move you back down to where you originally were. So for example, if there's a little cliff that you're not supposed to be able to climb, the game will let you climb it and then move you back down. So there are times where the game won't clip you back to where you were. So you'll get to the spot that you're not supposed to be, and it won't move you, and you'll get stuck in that area. And this can be really frustrating because you'll be stuck there for the entire time. So if you quit, you're going to lose that hunter, you're going to lose that progress, and there's no way around it. Even if you go down, you can't come back down. So I tried downing my friend, and it wouldn't let me revive him, and he was pretty much just stuck in this area. So he had to restart his game, and he lost his hunter. And while this only happened about once when playing with us, it was frustrating. And just note that this can be a possible thing, so be careful what you move around and try not to force your character into spots that don't seem reachable. The gunplay in this game is solid, and the combat can be extremely rewarding. The combat in Hunt seems to be very methodical and very slow a lot of the times, depending on the environment you find yourself in. When getting into gun battles outside with trees and hills, it can be some of the most satisfying moments this game has to offer. Those types of engagements are played using your wits and your mastery of angles. You have to learn how to manipulate the cover around you and organize with your partner exactly what to do, like where to move and when to flank. The majority of the time when I lose these battles, it's simply because I miss shots or the enemy team outsmarted us with their movement. This means that even though we may lose, it's never too frustrating because we know that it was our fault entirely. Now when it comes to close range battles, like around bars and inside buildings, that can be a different story. Now don't get me wrong, close combat engagements are still extremely fun. That is until you realize somebody has a shotgun. The shotgun in this game can be extremely frustrating in close quarters. Now while I don't think it's OP, to be completely honest, it does change the way you have to play the game. Even if your partner is down, if you have a shotty in close quarters, you still have a chance no matter the health of your enemies. The shotgun can one-shot people from sometimes surprising distances. And I mean, this thing is a beast. If you know the enemy has a shotty, you have to play completely different in that situation. You see, but that wouldn't be too bad if that was the only thing. But it isn't. The thing I find weird is that the shotty, despite how powerful it normally is, can be inconsistent at times. Now I know shotguns are hard to balance in any game, especially since most in-game shotguns have random bullet spread. But there have been times where I empty a shot into somebody's chest and they end up killing me. The same has happened the other way. I've been hit by an almost point blank shot, but only lost about 30 health when I'm almost certain I should have went down. Now this isn't a deal breaker whatsoever, but those of you who don't want to get insta downed might want to avoid close quarters fights, especially if you can tilt it easily, or just carry a shotgun. Also, there are a few weapons that do have scopes, but most of the weapons are iron sights. So if you're a person that does not like iron sights, like me originally, then you might not like the gunplay in this game. But the more I play it, the more I appreciate the iron sights because I get what type of game it is, and I get the feeling it's going for. So I do like it now, but at the beginning I wasn't, really a fan of the iron sights, and I've never been. Ever since COD, I see people like using iron sights, and I was never able to do it. But I'm getting the hang of it. But if you're a person that doesn't like it, then that might be a problem for you. So just keep that in mind. Now this game has some of the best audio because you always know what's around you since everything has a distinctive sound. But the only problem with the audio is that everything is super loud. And I know this is probably the purpose of the game, to warn you what's around you. But even if you lower your volume, some of these sounds are extremely loud. And you do want to have your volume up to a certain level so you can hear footsteps. So if you do want to hear footsteps, you're going to have to deal with some loud ass creatures. Footsteps are pretty clear, however, so you will know when someone's around you most of the time. And of course, different materials have different sounds when stepping on them. But there is also a few creatures that walk around that do sound like players. And I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I know for sure some of the zombies and some of the armored zombies do sound like people from far away. And at a greater distance, the armored zombies even sound like gunshots, to be honest. They sound like muffled, far away gunshots. And this can throw you off guard, especially when you're killing a monster and you think you hear someone outside, but it's just a zombie. So I do hope that they eventually, make those sounds a little bit more different. That way you don't fall for that kind of stuff. And it might just be me. It might be my lack of experience. Maybe those of you who played long enough already know the difference between these sounds, and you don't fall for these things as much as I do. But I noticed that was a problem once in a while, and hopefully that does get fixed. And like the loud sounds I mentioned earlier, there are some creatures in the game that don't hurt you. They're just there to make noise, kind of to notify you when people are close. Like the birds, for example. When you walk by the birds, they fly away and make a loud squawking noise. But you can't crouch around them. Like you can't really go through that area without them making a bunch of noise. And it's super loud. And sometimes even though I see the sound coming, it still fucking scares the shit out of me because it's so loud. And the same thing goes for dogs and chickens that are in cages. They don't hurt you at all, but they just start barking and barking and barking and making so much noise. And you want to kill them just because you're annoyed of the sound, not really because you have to kill them. And they are supposed to like let people know around you that there is someone there. These animals will set off if somebody walks close to them. But I feel like it's more of an annoyance than anything. And I'd rather risk people knowing where I am than me hearing barking throughout the entire time that I'm in an area. Now, one thing I noticed is that the gunshots are extremely loud, which means that you can hear them almost 2/3 of the way across the map. Which means that if you are running after gunshots trying to look for fights, you might not find them because they might be farther than you think. Now, this might be because the map is a little bit smaller than other games, but I think it's because they just made the gunshots too loud. And I think they should be quieter because that way if you hear a gunshot, at least you know that somebody's actually close and not across the map like they could be. Now the graphics are really well done, and for this being in alpha or beta, it's a really good looking game. Now I tend to have my graphics to the lowest settings because I want the most frames since it is a competitive game. But even when I put it to the top, I still noticed that the game looked really good, and it honestly didn't run that bad. Now of course having it at higher graphic settings will of course mess with your game and you will lose frames. And to be honest, I think you lose more frames than you really should because I feel like it does take a big impact on your PC whenever you do hire it up to the very high. But all in all, even if you have it on low settings, the game looks really good. The shadows look really good. The settings look really good. The only problems I have with this game is that there are some weather settings that kind of mess with everything. Like there is a fog type of day where you can't really see too far. And of course, it's meant to be this way. The mechanics are meant for you not to be able to see that far. But I noticed that I tend to get more lag in those games than on just regular day maps. So I guess the fog might do something, and I don't know why. I feel like the fog blocking stuff should make your game go faster since you don't see as many things on your screen. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And of course the lag isn't too noticeable, but it is there. And of course it does not affect my gameplay too much. But I do notice it once in a while. Maybe the game does stutter. And it could be a problem if it hits you at the perfect time. Like if your game stutters right when you're fighting somebody, then it might be a problem. But other than that, it's not something you should really notice. Also, the animations are also really smooth. The creatures have really good texture models. You never really, mix up creatures most of the time because everything does look different. Everything does have a lot of detail. And there are some pop-up issues, especially when you're super far away from areas. You will see things pop up. You will see zombies spawn in. and that might scare the shit out of you because a zombie spawning in drops from the sky, or not from the sky, but a little bit above where it's supposed to be. So it might seem like a player jumping or something, and it does throw you off guard sometimes. Or sometimes the tree, popping into existence all of a sudden might also scare you, especially if you're trying to like look out for people. So you do have to be careful with that. And you just have to learn that not everything that moves is a player. There are going to be these pop-ups and these creatures spawning in, and you kind of have to like, eventually you learn about it, you learn like what it is, and you don't fall for it anymore. But eventually you learn what is what, and you will not fall for these things too much after just a little bit of experience. But all in all, the game is a very hardcore game, so if you don't want to put in time into it and you might not want to learn the game and the mechanics, then you might have trouble playing it because you will die a lot at the beginning since you don't know what you're doing. But it is a very good game, and it is very new and very fresh, so if you are looking for something to play by yourself or with a friend, then this might be the game for you. It really surprised me, and I'm really upset that I didn't get it earlier because my friend told me about it and I never got the game, and I do regret it because it's a great game. And I know that since it is an alpha, it's only going to get better. And if you haven't looked at the game right now, I think it is on sale still, and it should be on sale for the next few days. So I think it is like 23 bucks, but I think it's like around 30 or 40 regular price. So you might want to pick it up right now if you are thinking about getting it, because it will eventually go up in price again. But yeah, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the review. Let me know what you all think of the game, and I will see you all in the next one. Also, if there's any game you want me to review or play, leave it down in the comments below so I can check that out. Alright, y'all have a good one, guys. Take it easy.